Welcome back for Top 10 List. This time, given it is the end just a couple of days away from the new year, I figured why not? Top 10 favorite video games of 2020. So, with that said, if you're wondering, it's a Star Wars shirt. The music in the background today I chose is from Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. The music for The Grid. So, with that out of the way, a couple honorable mentions, and indie games did pretty good this year for me. There are games you will see not on this list because I haven't actually played them yet. The first being Crash 4, I have yet to play. Miles Morales, I have yet to play. And of course, Cyberpunk 2077, I have yet to play. So, though, that is why those games will be missing from the list, though, from everything I understand, Cyberpunk could probably be a dishonorable mention if I have played it yet. So, with that said, first honorable mentions. First honorable mention actually is a interesting game. There has been some issues with the game, occasionally like frame rate drops and stuff, but still gets an honorable mention. I actually still enjoy it for how it uses and implements mechanics related to seasons and everything. First honorable mention. Two honorable mentions total. Actually, take that back. Three honorable mentions. Next honorable mention is a pretty good horror-like indie game, in my opinion, and that is called Those Who Remain. Which, if you want a physical copy of this game, you will have to get it through limited run games, like I did. But you can get very cheap, usually on sale. It's a great game, though. I highly recommend it. And the last honorable mention is a game I just recently started playing. I gotta admit, I like it, so it gets an honorable mention. John Wick Hex. You can get this game for $20, brand new, at GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, basically any major retailer you can get this. And given it's a pretty dang cheap game, I highly recommend it. But just know it's not an actual first-person shooter type game. So with that said, coming in at number 10 is the first, of course, this game I got digitally. It's a great game. I got it and played it for the Nintendo Switch, and that is Evans Remains. It's actually a really good indie 2D side-scrolling type puzzle game. It's a cross between puzzle platformer. So, like many different games, of course, indie type, side scrolling type games, but I do appreciate the actual mechanics of the way you figure out how to change the platforms and stuff. That's one of the big parts of the puzzle element in the game. Actually, as things go on, it gets harder and harder. I genuinely enjoy the game, and by the way, you can get this game for less than $10 at regular price. I believe it's some like $6.99, so it's easily the cheapest game on this list. But I highly recommend it. Check it out. I mean, given you can get normal price for some like $7, yeah, seriously, pick it up. Do yourself a favor. It's a great 2D indie game in my opinion, and it definitely deserves a lot more love. Next, coming at number 9, only because I only recently started playing, but because it having the name Kingdom Hearts attached, it immediately got a spot on my top 10 list, but only at number 9, since I haven't played too much yet. Uh, yeah, coming at number 9 is, of course, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. Interesting game. Now, I'm not surprised that so far this game has been doing better on the Switch in sales. I kind of see why, too. I'm not sure how it runs on the Switch, but personally, yeah, so far I'm actually liking it. It's not nearly as good as regular Kingdom Hearts games, but still, it's not bad. It's one of the better games this year I played. Coming in at number 8 is also a digital game. I got it for the PS4. It's more of a survival crafting game, and there are elements in it people think kind of remind them of Legend of Zelda. What is it? I'm thinking Breath of the Wild. But personally, I don't think it looks anything. It's a more simplistic art style, but I like it. It definitely has a steep difficulty curve as the game progresses. But yeah, it's a survival crafting game. There's no real puzzle solving involved for the most part, which is kind of unfortunate. I was hoping it would have a lot of puzzle stuff, but if you like survival crafting games, you may enjoy this, in my opinion, because it's rather simplistic and its overall concept. Now, I did do a review of that, so if you're curious to hear more in depth of my thoughts on Windbound, check it out. But it comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is another great indie game I got this year at normal price is something like $14. So it's a really good price budget title. It's developed by the same company that made No Man's Sky. So I was wanting to give it a shot because I actually really like No Man's Sky. But with that said, I really enjoy this game quite a bit, and I could see myself probably doing a second playthrough of the game in the future. It is called The Last Campfire. Now, I picked up the digital version from PSN, so that's the version I knew and played. But seriously, get a chance to check it out. I mean, it is a really good priced budget title. That's the thing about a lot of indie games. The prices are very reasonable. Uh, Coming in at number 6 is an interesting first-person shooter. At number 6 is an interesting game called Journey to the Savage Planet. Now, I actually really dig the overall art style and presentation in the game. It is a first-person shooter perspective indie title. It's really great. I believe the game on average goes for about $29.99, like $30 on average. So it's definitely more than worth the money in my opinion. It's a great game. I like the mechanics. It's for being an indie game, it you could tell had a better budget than a lot of other indie budget titles out there. That's for sure. And I definitely think it's more than a. I highly recommend if you like first-person perspective games, you may really enjoy this. And I do appreciate the different unique environments and creature designs in the game as well. Coming in at number 5 is what I like to call the indie Dark Souls game. And I will say I really like this game quite a bit. Coming in at number 5 is Mortal Shell. Now, I like the game mainly, of course, by the way, you can get this new for $29.99, $30. So definitely more than worth it. The gameplay is solid, just like Dark Souls, though I think some elements of the gameplay reminds me a bit more of maybe Bloodborne. But with that said, I also like the mechanic that if you lose a body, you could actually quickly travel if there's another body nearby and then gain possession of that body. That was an interesting mechanic to give Mortal Shell its own unique flavor to the Dark Souls formula. Though I don't know why everyone calls every higher difficult game Dark Souls, whatever. Um, but you can tell that this game was heavily influenced by Dark Souls, but also elements of Bloodborne as well. Definitely from the art design. And for being an indie game, this game actually looks ridiculously good for being a budget title. The game is not long, just so you know. On average, you can probably beat the game in 5 or 6 hours, so it's not like a Dark Souls length game. But for what it is and for the price, in my opinion, it's good. I have heard they've talked about maybe working on future like expansion to the game, adding more to the world, and I think that's great if they do. I can honestly say I'll definitely be picking up any expansion out of material because I think the game has real potential, and I hope it grows and becomes more popular. Because I'd like to see this title become known outside of just the indie community and Dark Souls community. Coming in at number 4. I haven't beat the game yet, but I'm about halfway through. But just from the gameplay and everything presentation, the game is amazing. Coming in at number 4 is the new Hyrule Warriors game for, of course, the Switch. I really like this new Hyrule Warriors game. I like it maybe a bit more than the original just because the fact it actually has a regular, more traditional story going along, of course, with the storyline in the world of Breath of the Wild rather than just being a mashup like the original Hyrule Warriors. So, because of that, there's a lot more involvement in this game, specifically like with storytelling aspect, is a lot better. Though there is definitely occasionally some major frame rate issues. So just know that if you haven't played the game yet or you're thinking about picking it up, just know occasionally there will definitely be some frame rate dips off and on throughout the game. It's just something to always keep in mind with some games. Coming in at number 3 is a digital game, and strangely enough, it's a free-to-play game. It's a game which, of course, slowly I've been uploading on occasion some clips of gameplay here and there from my playthrough of the game, which I'm still playing on occasion. Eventually, I want to get around and complete the game. That is until, of course, they add more updates since it's an MMO. Coming in at number 3 is Genshin Impact. Frankly, I'm surprised. I was not expecting to like this game as much as I did, but the combat and the ability to switch back and forth between characters on the fly just by on the directional D-pad, that is a great thing. I'd actually like to see other games implement similar things. People just change characters immediately in battle, which allows you to create some interesting custom style like attack combos and everything. And I actually really appreciate that. That and the presentation, the art style is drop dead gorgeous. Um, yeah, it does have the gotcha mechanics and everything. It is a free play game, but it actually has a decent single player story, which I would like to see more single player or more uh, free to play games use this model like Genshin Impact. Putting a lot of time, money, and effort into the presentation, the actual in-game like cutscenes, the in-game battle mechanics, the actual time creating this beautiful world. I think it is the new gold standard, in my opinion, of a free-to-play game. At one time, I would have said Warframe was the standard, but to me, Genshin Impact is so much higher in overall quality of content. So, definitely for me, it is very much a gold standard for future, and I hope I can find more cel-shaded art style games like this. And I hope we see eventually more free-to-play games like this, because I'm not a big fan of free-to-play games in all honesty, but this game is one that I definitely think it's more than worth the time, and it's a lot of fun. Coming in at number 2, if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I have quite a bit praised this game. Coming in at number 2 is Ori Will of the Wisps, which I don't like it quite as much as Blind Forest yet, but still, the presentation, the art style, it is just drop dead gorgeous looking, and it's a lot of fun. And I love the in-game, the fact they added some combat mechanics to it with the leveling up system and everything to your abilities. I appreciate that, and adding a little bit more to the overall gameplay, and yet it's just a gorgeous looking game. Coming at number 1, easily my favorite game of the year, easily best fighting game, though there hasn't been too many other major titles, and this is a game I've actually done a game review of already on, and I've been off and on, of course, uploading a lot of gameplay here and there throughout the year, and it's Arc System Works game, easily my favorite Arc System Works game since Under Night and Birth, and that is coming at number 1 favorite game of 2020, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. For a lot of also, the art style, just like Genshin Impact, is drop dead gorgeous. I love this cel-shaded art style, and just the character designs and everything in this game, and I love the fact it has an RPG mode, which is actually also pretty cool. I like that it's very refreshing to other fighting games, and it's very different from games like, other games from Arc System Works, like Guilty Gear and stuff. I like this game more than many other games from Arc System Works. I like that the basic combat mechanics are very simplistic in its basis, but the way it's done is you can discover and create your own custom combos in the game, and I appreciate that. Also, the fact that it has produced one of my favorite villains in recent memory of any fighting game, that being Beelzebub. Though also I really like Belial as well quite a bit. But with that said, this is top 10 favorite games of 2020. Leave a comment below, tell me what your thoughts are. What was your favorite games of the year? I'm curious to see, and I hope everyone is safe and has a good 2021. Hopefully things improve, because boy has this year been insane. See you soon enough.